Fine. So I will give a brief description of machine learning as well as data science as much as possible, so that you can have an overview of both of the fields, so that we can understand what we are going to learn, why we are going to learn, and how we are going to learn. Right. So let's start with the data science,
Okay.
and we have to understand the philosophical aspect as well as the technological aspect for both of the things, because these things are it's related to knowledge economy, right? So knowledge economy is one kind of economy where which is driven by data and information, right? So that is called knowledge economy. So this machine learning, this data science, these all subjects come under knowledge economy. And these data science, machine learning, these are related to artificial intelligence or data analytics or this kind of stuff, and that is absolutely very complex task, right? So we have to understand what these things are actually. Then we need to get into the technological thing, because if we don't understand what's the perspective, why we are learning it, and what is the application areas, and what is the future of these domains, so it will be difficult for us to understand the applications. Even if we are learning the coding, doing the data science thing, machine learning thing, it will be very much difficult, right? So we have to understand why these things are so much important, so much trending, and these has become all weatherproof kind of skills, which is going to be needed for coming 50 100 years or something like that, right? So the reason behind it, these particular technologies are used to predict the future, right? And this seems to be very much a little bit crazy word, that we are going to predict the future, but eventually we are doing that stuff, right? And why we want to predict the future, or why we want to analyze the data to make decisions, right? To attain some objectives, some missions. And for that reason, predictions are very much important, and we will understand through real life examples that will help to understand these things in real life perspective, and we can understand how these things are making our lives so much easier, right? So we book cabs through Ola or Uber, right? Now, how they are going to predict how much time is going to be required to reach the estimated destination, like they called it ETA, estimated time to arrive. Next, how much cost, how much fare will be needed for that stuff, right? How they are doing these things, because they are analyzing data in real time, right? Said they are doing data, they are working with data science and machine learning in real time. Whenever we are searching for certain things, according to the jam, according to the availability, according to the demand, according to the availability of passengers in that particular area, they are choosing your ride, as well as they are giving you certain parameters that helping them to convert some diversified services into some specific products. Like in case of Uber, we book Uber Go. So Uber Go is a service, but they have used this kind of data analysis to convert this service into products by giving you beforehand pricings, right? So there was a time when people are very fearful to get into a taxi, those people who are from middle class or lower middle class, right? Because they priorly don't know how much money is going to be charged, right? So if they have 500 rupees in pocket, they don't sure that if they are going from Howrah to Space Planet, if that is enough or not, because after the ride they are going to they are going to know how much fare has been charged, right? But in case of Ola Uber, this makes this thing so much easier. Like if I open my mobile and app, I am going to know that how much cost will be required to reach my destination, and on the basis of that, and on the basis of my budget, I can decide whether I should take a Uber Moto, Uber Go, or I shouldn't take all these things and go by bus, right? According to my budget. So this is how these things are so magical and making our life so much easier, right? On the other hand, Zomato, so Zomato is also using the ETA thing, as well as they are giving us options, recommendations on the basis of our taste, which kind of restaurants we prefer, and all those things. On the other hand, if we go for Netflix, so this kind of OTT platforms are using a hell amount of data science and machine learning to give you, give the desired choices, as well as the likings you have with the entertainment domain, by giving you choices. Like if you have seen this movie, you can see all these movies, right? So they have categorized each movie into certain parameters, and they are creating models with those parameters to give you suggestions. Those can be ratings, those can be genre, those can be the actors, those can be the description, the domain of the movie, the director, the English, Bengali, the language, the its regional or international. So there are several parameters. So they are utilizing these parameters of, say, hundreds and thousands of movies to cater you the food you are looking for, right? So that's how these things are so magical. Like if we go for any e-commerce platform, right, whatever we have, whenever we are buying something, or if we have already bought something, they are giving us suggestions that you have bought this thing, so you can record these things. And nobody is sitting over there and doing these things manual, and it's not possible to do this thing manual, right? So what they're doing, they are collecting data from each and every possible data points, touch points of the customers, and they're using those things to create models and predict things, right? Like these all things, in these things we can understand it's predicting things, but in other, in more important, as well as more relevant case studies would be like, in previous time it was like, the airlines will be get delayed or something like that. It's not you are not getting the notifications beforehand, right? But right now what happens, whenever you are booking a ticket, you are keep getting arrivals, departures, the timing, and all those informations on your WhatsApp, on your SMS, and all those stuff. So they are sending the informations through different channels. That doesn't count, but the thing is how they are calculating these things, and the magic is data science and machine learning behind all these things, right? So as the data is growing day by day, we are into an information age. That's why I was talking about knowledge economy, right? So the economy of information age is known as knowledge economy. So as the data is growing day by day, we can use this data to convert coincidence into incidents. And what is the need of that? So if we can convert coincident into incident, we can take decisions, we can change incident, we can prevent incident, right? So if from the data of agriculture, like in which what are the parameters of the soil, what is the time, what is the temperature, what is the moisture, how many crops are getting cultivated over there, and all those things, we can predict that what will be the output from that particular field or that particular area. Or according to that thing, we can channelize all those crops or all those foods beforehand, so that no food is getting wasted, right? Or if some in some fields or in some agricultural fields, the agriculture is not happening that way, so we can take the data of all those fields nearby of that fields where the agriculture is happening in a good way, right? And we can tally both of the data of different parameters to understand what is the main reason of not having a good cultivation from that particular field, right? So this way we can predict the future, this way we can analyze this thing and take decisions, because this is the most important part, right? So data science and machine learning are very much related things, right? So in what is the starting point of this data science thing? So at first, what we need to do, we need to collect data, right? Because data science, machine learning, both of the things are not possible without having a proper data set. So what is the data set? It's collection of several parameters of a certain thing in a maybe a little bit organized way, so that we can use those things to get patterns out of it and predict the future, or come up with a solution of previous problem or something like that, right? So at first, what we need to do, we need to acquire data. That is called data acquisition, right? So that can happen from different perspective, right? So if we are working with sensors, if we are working with population, if we are working with this kind of things, so in most of the cases in developing countries, those data are taken from the hospitals, or by doing manual surveys or something like that. We can feed all those manual survey data into certain spreadsheet or something like that, and use those data to do the processing and all those things. On the other hand, like e-commerce sites, so whenever somebody is getting into e-commerce site, using the e-commerce site, we are getting the data from the users, right? So where they're clicking, which kind of products they are buying, why they are not buying certain products, or which kind of products can be offered to them so that they will have an interest to buy it. So these things are very much interesting, as well as these are basically giving intelligence to business. So we know about machine learning, right? AI, artificial intelligence, and data science. So there is another concept called business intelligence. So when we are using this machine learning as well as this data science to take decisions for a business, that is called a business intelligence, right? So that is a very premium as well as vast field of, and that is the application of this data science, big data, machine learning stuff. And now the thing is, if when we are learning, how we are going to acquire the data? It's not possible to employ people to just collect the data or create an e-commerce of your own and get the data. So what should we do? Should we work with demo data, create our data? But that is not possible. That is not feasible. That will be a boring way of learning data science or machine learning, right? So there are certain platforms, certain places which are called repository. So we can get machine learning repository or data science repository. What is a repository? It's a collection of data sets. What is a data set? It's collection of information in a little bit organized way through parameters or something like that, right? Like there is a very simple data sets available in usual machine learning repository, that is iris flowers data set, right? So how we can use that data set for machine learning? Like iris flowers has three kind of categorization, right? And they have 4 parameters which influences these categories. Have petal length, petal width, sepal length, sepal width. So this iris flowers has these 4 parameters, and according to these 4 parameters, if we create a model out of it, create an equation out of it, through which we can predict unknown iris flowers classification, right? Not predicting, basically we are classifying the iris flower. So how things happen in machine learning or data science? So in case of machine learning, suppose we are taking this data set from UCI machine learning repository, where they have around 150 data fields, or we can call it a record of that particular iris flower, right? Now how we are going to use this particular repository or the data set, right? Now suppose I have 150 data, right? So I have to create a model or create an algorithm where I am feeding this data, and what that particular algorithm is doing, they are plotting the data in graphs, right? Or certain mathematical equations or visualization, and trying to get out of a pattern, get out of the pattern, which will help us to recognize the unknown iris flower, which kind of classification of that flower is, right? So what we'll do, suppose we have 150 data. So what we can do, we can use 100 data and feed that data to our algorithm and train it, right? So I'm talking about machine learning right now. So we can train our machine learning algorithm. Now when it's trained, how we are going to know it is trained properly, right? So what we will do, we already have 50 data that we have not used to train it. So the machine learning algorithm don't know about those data. Now if the machine learning algorithm is trained, it's working perfectly, we can use that 50 data to validate whether the training has been done or not, right? So we will use that data on that particular algorithm and ask that algorithm which classification of that particular data is, right? So which kind of iris flower is that particular row of data is. Now we have to come up with a percentage of accuracy. Now if among 50 it recognizes 45 right answers, right? So what is the right answer? It's classifying that it's a certain kind of iris flower, and if the answer is correct according to the 50 data available, because we are giving data from that particular place and we are not telling what is the classification, but we know it, we have the data, so we can tally between both of them and can understand how many right answer, perfect answer our algorithm is giving, and according to that we can come up with the accuracy. Like if 45 right answers and 5 wrong answers, so the accuracy will be 90%, right? And 10% inaccurate. So our perspective with respect to machine learning is to efficient the data, efficient this accuracy, by feeding more and more data and changing our in our algorithms and parameters, so that we can come up with more accuracy, right? So that is the goal, that is our goal, because why we are teaching these things to the machine, so that the machine can take the decision by its own, predict things, classify things, all those kind of stuff, right? So as much as data we will feed into the system will be more accurate and more perfect day by day, right? So that's the most interesting point which makes AI, machine learning and data science so interesting, that all the other technological things, all the other physical technological things and all those stuff decreases its efficiency as the time grows, right? But in case of AI, machine learning and data science, the efficiency grows with the time, because as the time is growing, we are feeding more data to the system to be get trained. Like as our age is growing, we are getting more experienced, we have more knowledge, our algorithms are absolutely same, right? So when we are giving more data, it's getting more knowledge, and according to that, its predictions, its classifications are becoming much more accurate, right? What is our requirement. So that's how these things works. Now after, so we got the solution with the data acquisition part, right? So we don't need to acquire the data while we are learning. Maybe in future you can work on research projects, get real-time data and all those stuff, that's perfectly okay. But before getting into the war, you need to be get trained, right? Like all the military and soldiers get trained before getting into the war. So we need to understand how we can get the weapons, weapons which can be used for the training. So there are several tools and platforms where you can get this data and practice our algorithmic things, practice our data science, machine learning algorithms and all those stuff, so that we can work with real-time real data, right? And these are also real data, these are also collected from real sources, right? Maybe not real time, but these are real data taken from Facebook, taken from cancer, taken from alcohol, taken from flowers, natural calamities, all kind of marketing domain, social media, movies. So whatever kind of data set you require, that is available to work on, right? So we can take different data sets from there and understand different kind of algorithms utilizing on those particular data sets and come up with the perfect solutions in machine learning, data science and all those things, right? And most importantly, data science and machine learning is a very important field, as well as a little bit complex, because it's a absolutely applied mathematics kind of stuff, right? So if you think that mathematics is not your cup of tea, still you want to learn machine learning, data science, you can, but you cannot go far beyond with that knowledge, because it's not about only using algorithms, only getting up with some demo data and all those stuff. What you need to do, you have to work with real-time data. Now when you are having real-time data, real data, they don't need to come with the data planning and all those stuff, so you need to do that stuff. And if you don't know how the algorithms work, what is the mathematical equations are working behind it, and how to create new mathematical equations according to the available parameters and all those things, you are not going to be a fully educated data scientist, right? So that's why we need to focus on statistics, mathematics and all those fields along with the programming aspect. Because see, the thing is, programming is the implementation part, right? But before that, there are several things where programming is not required, but we need to plan from our knowledge of statistics and mathematics, and as well as the philosophy of data science, right? So we need to understand these topics as well. So how we are going to learn this course, we are going to understand the programming as well as this mathematical, this formulations, this statistical things parallelly, so that we can implement all this, we can implement parallel things and learn things parallelly, right? Because I am considering that you are getting into data science, and you okay, you raised hand, okay.
Hi.
Yeah.
I have some question because you already told that we can, if we already have a result and
Mhm.
we are using algorithm to predict the result, then we can know how accurate the result it is. But if in such scenario we don't have any uh, previous result, and we are predicting the result only using the algorithm, then how can we know it is accurate or it is going wrong?
Now the thing is how we are predicting the how we are training the algorithm. When we are training the algorithm, we have to have the data, na? Those 100 data which have been used to train the algorithm, those are complete data, right? Maybe in real life we don't get complete data all the time, right? So that's why there are several processes like called data sanitization or data processing, right? Where we do what we do, all the incomplete data sets, all the irrelevant data sets, we need to just get rid of them and create a concrete data sets, a smaller data sets which can be used to train a machine learning algorithm, right? So we supposed to have the data sets, otherwise we need to collect it, right? We wait for the time, like somebody is opening the website and they're asking, suppose an e-commerce site, right? So they are opening the e-commerce site and asking for implementing machine learning, data science and all those stuff. It's not possible. Why it's not possible? Because we don't have the data to make the decisions, right? So what we can do, we can write the algorithms and put over there, but it will take time for that machine to learn those things. As soon as the data will keep flowing to the system, the machine will start learning, right? So we need data, certain amount of data to train it to predict the future. Like how we predict the future, how we understand that in rainy season that the rain will come, how we understand it.
Experience.
So because experience, so those are all, those
Yes.
already
All.
data. So that needs to be there, because a machine learning or data science algorithm is not an astrologer, right? It's absolutely a scientific thing. So it has a scientific background behind it. So when we are training a model, training a data science model, or a machine learning model or something like that, we have to have a data sets. That's why we are talking about these repositories, right? So there are many paid repositories even. So if you want that what is the market trend for 2019, or what is the social media trend for 2019, so there are several repositories which are paid repository, right? So you can pay money to get the repository and work on those data. So data is oil. Why? Because people can sell data, and those people who are buying data, they are buying data to predict the future, to sell their stuff, to take political decisions, to take social decisions, to take administrative decisions. So there can be business decisions. So all the way you can see that this data science and machine learning are backing up human decision making model, right? So how we are taking a decision on the basis of certain patterns, we are taking a decision. We are teaching the absolutely same thing to the machines so that they can take the decision. Why? Because we human beings maybe have higher intelligence, but when the amount of information is greater, bigger, and it's getting bigger day by day, the accuracy is deteriorating day by day, because we human beings come with certain limitations, certain memories, certain processing power that cannot be extended. Like if we are working with a machine, and if 16 GB RAM is not working, we can insert a 32 GB RAM, right? But it's not possible for a human being so easily. Maybe we can increase our intelligence, our limitations and all those stuff, but that takes time, and that has also a limitation. We cannot a human being cannot see through one crore of data and come up with a visualization out of it. We have to use the machines, because machines are good with this large amount of things. And the most important thing, if you are working with 100 data, and if you are working with 10 CR data, 10 crore data, the accuracy for the machine will not be changed. Not in terms of predictions, I am talking about the general operations accuracy, because machine is following a procedure every time, and machine is not prone to corruption or lethargy or what is it,
Human error.
right? So in that regard, that's why we are teaching all these things to a machine. Like atomic power plant, so it's very important for atomic power plant to predict things, because if the things are already happening, nobody will be there alive to analyze those data and do certain things. So what we need to do, we need to predict certain things beforehand. Like we can predict the temperature, we can predict if any mishap is going to happen or not. We can predict what is the output of the thing. There is a project we are working on. I will not say about the names and all the stuff. So we need to predict output of a energy on the basis of a flame, right? So in that regard, we are using image processing and trying to get out with certain patterns, as well as certain patterns to create a map between the flames properties and the output energy, right? And if we are feeding ample amount of data, it can accurately predict up to 90, 95, 99% or 100% that after 2 hours or after 3 hours or after certain amount of time, how much amount of energy is going to be produced, right? On the other hand, this analytics can be used greatly. This data science, image processing, this machine learning can be used greatly for medical industry, right? The healthcare industry and healthcare facilities, like breast cancer, or these cancers, all the cancers having certain parameters, right? Those parameters defines a cancer's classification, which kind of cancer is this. But those parameters are so much diversified, and we cannot linearly differentiate between them, right? So what is linearly differentiation? So I'm just giving you an example. Just a second. Okay. Yeah. Can you see the whiteboard?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So what is linear classification? Suppose we have data, and after plotting the data, we are getting this kind of plot. This is axis of anything, this is the axis of anything, right? Now what is a linear problem? What is a linear classification? Suppose this is a problem set, and we need to classify the cross and the circle, right? So we can classify like this with a simple linear equation of line, that this is the place of cross, this is the place of circle, right? So in this case, we can do it with bare eyes, or a human can do it. But suppose on the second place, we are having like, this. Now, is it possible to classify these things linearly with a linear equation or linear line or something like that?
No.
So in that regard, we need machine learning algorithms, we need data science and all those stuff, right? Where our human mind cannot get the pattern. There must be a pattern, because there is no coincidence. If we have ample amount of data and we have the perfect model, we can predict anything, right? So there is also a pattern, but we cannot recognize the pattern with a bare eyes or something like that. Still, as because I work on data science, I can show you how the pattern is over there, how we can classify. We can classify like this. So this section is circle, and the rest of the is cross. Now if there is 1 crore data, 10 billion data, 10 million data, is that possible to really plot the things and get out of the pattern and get out of with the pattern and all the stuff? It's not possible. So in that regard, what we'll do, we need to use algorithms which will do the same task, right? We will say them how to classify, which kind of algorithms, and there are several algorithms to classify, there are several algorithms to predict, there are several algorithms for everything. Now there is no certain rules and regulations that we need to apply this particular algorithm to this problem. What we need to do, we need to have our perfect models, and we need to use the data set on different models and understand what kind of accuracies we are getting, right? So that is very much important. So according to that accuracy, we can say that okay, this algorithm is working for this kind of problems or this kind of data sets. Okay, this kind of algorithm is working for this kind of data sets or this kind of problems. So that's the way we need that's the reason we need to understand several algorithms as well as apply them in different problem sets to understand how these things are working, right? So it's not mandatory that one particular algorithm is efficient than anybody else. It's not possible. It's absolutely depend on the problem statement, the data sets, the availability of informations and all those things, right? So these are the places, these are the needs why we actually create these models, this machine learning, this data science, where we are requiring these things. So wherever you are seeing that something is happening like magic or a coincidence and that is backed by technology, there must be machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science kind of stuff are working behind, right? So that much interesting thing these things are. So this particular thing can predict your sales figure. They can predict who is going to leave your company very soon, which kind of employees are going to leave your company very soon, which kind of employees are efficient and giving much value to your company. So in a kind of complex patterns we can recognize from data, we can visualize data, we can get meaning out of data. So these are the basic applications of data science. So data science and machine learning, right? So there are several algorithms in machine learning, data science. We will get into all those things. So right now I'm trying to give you an overview so that you can understand how magical these things are, how important these things are, and you can relate with all the things you are encountering every day. We all go for shopping in e-commerce sites, we all book cabs, we all book airlines, we all fly in planes, and all those places where we are using this kind of algorithms and all those things. If we know the overview now onwards, whenever you are basically encountering with this kind of stuff, you can by yourself realize that what is happening, right? That there is a data science algorithm is working, this parameters are getting utilized and they are getting a decision out of it. So all the game is of making decisions, because decision making what makes human beings intelligent. We can make decisions on basis of different parameters, right? So that's the thing we are imitating from human nature to data science as well as in machine learning, right? And now what I was talking about, data. Now what kind of data is this? Are they only Excel sheets? Are they only numbers? Are they only text? What kind of data I am talking about? So this can be anything. A video is a data, a image is a data. So how a video is a data? Like suppose we have seen in many cameras, recent cameras, that if we are enabling the auto focusing mode, so even if the object is moving, still the focus is there. So what is happening in behind that? We are using image processing to understand where the object is, and blurring all the other pixels out of that object, and that's happening in real time, right? On the other hand, this medical data, in most of the cases, the medical data are coming from certain kind of photographs, the testing certificates and all those stuff, right? So if we are suppose if we are working with some lung cancer data or cancer data or lung related disease, liver related disease, either they are coming up from the test results, or the x-ray image, or brain CT scan image, or this kind of things. So data is not only the text or the numbers, data can be anything. In case of a video thing, uh, uh, like face detection, right? So we are using machine learning over there, and we are giving certain particular parameters of certain pixels, through which the machine learning algorithm can understand where is my face and where is my eyes, where is my eyeball. So these all are game of data, because see, image, video, these are itself data, these are arrays. So array is nothing but a table of data. So a image is nothing but like this. So if we talk about absolutely a simple thing, so suppose this one room is one pixels, right? So we talk about 1024 by 720p or something like that. So those are pixels. That means the width has 1024 pixels, means 1024 this kind of boxes, and the length the height has 720 boxes. So we can multiply and understand how many boxes are there in the screen, right? And these all boxes have certain parameters associated with it, right? What is the color, what is the intensity and all those stuff. According to that, we have to come up with certain parameters that can differentiate between two pixels. One is the pixels where I am having on my face, my mouth or my face or my head, and other from the background, right? So we always need to compare, we always need to find out certain parameters that can help us to distinguish between two things which we are trying to classify, differentiate, predict and all those stuff, right? So finding those parameters are not part of programming but part of the data science, right? So we need to understand the mathematics, the pattern recognition. These are the very cognitive skills. These are not machine related skills, right? So these are cognitive skills. We need to understand how we can, which parameter can help us, or which parameters can help us to create a model through which you can predict things, classify things. And these, most importantly, these data science, machine learning, the artificial intelligence, business intelligence, these are very versatile fields. You can see any side of yours, and you can see there is any artificial intelligence, machine learning or data science or any kind of stuff is working behind it. Like Alexa understand our voice, how it's getting understanding voices, how it's getting the what we are trying to say. It's all about machine learning and data science. They have captured voices and different words from millions and billions of people and created data sets out of it, and put it those data set to train Alexa, right? And Alexa is using that knowledge bank to answer your questions, to do whatever you want to do, right? So this is how data science and machine learning are correlating, as well as is getting utilized in each and every place where magics are happening, right? E-commerce sites, websites, medical domain, which kind of drug should be tested on which kind of animals, which kind of drug should be given to humans. We can do virtual simulations using machine learning, data science and all those stuff for this for that healthcare uses. Automobile industry, right? What is the reason for more pollutions, which kind of things are things needs to be changed to create more increased customer experiences for automobile industry, which kind of engine oil is working better, which kind of motor brakes are working better. All these decisions needs to be made on certain data, and human brains are not made to perceive all those millions and billions of data and use that to create certain patterns and come up with a model to predict things, right? So in all the fields, so when you are learning data science, when you are learning machine learning, you are opening your field to work on each and every domain, even for space science, for any kind of thing. Like in space there are constellations, there are different there are different waves, there are different images coming from NASA, ISRO and all this kind of space agency, and they are using image processing, machine learning, data science. So why we use image processing? To get certain meaningful data from the images, then those data will be analyzed by the data scientists to come up with certain patterns, certain decisions, certain assumptions or certain predictions and all those stuff, right? So these domains are not bound to any certain particular field. We can implement or utilize data science, machine learning in any kind of fields, right? So these things are, I think will be very much helpful. uh, Fine. So next we are going to get into, just a second. Okay, okay, we will see certain machine learning algorithms. And okay, just a second. Yeah, so we have the UCI machine learning repository. Yeah, So this is the UCI machine learning repository. There are several this kind of repositories are there in internet. You can see few are paid, fewer open source. So for the time being, for the learning purpose, we will look for the open source things. But as we are going to be expert on this field, we can buy new data sets and write papers about it. So these particular fields has a lot of opportunities for research, the publications, writing papers, come up with new solutions, because the data is ample. That every day billions and trillions of data are getting gathered, right? So we can use all those data to write enormous number of papers which can be helpful for developing products for other companies or other big institutions or something like that. Or we can utilize those data to utilize and machine learning and create certain products or something like that, or certain solutions or something like that, right? So this is one of them. It is not the only one. So there are several other repositories as well. So I was talking about that IDs flower, right? So most popular data sets hit since 2007. So the most popular is IDs because it's the most easiest one, right? So we have IDs flower classification. We have adult something related to classification, wine, breast cancer, Wisconsin, heart disease, wine quality, bank marketing, car evolution, human activity recognition using smartphones, Abalone, forest fire, student performance, another thing. So data science machine learning can be used ample amount in case of natural calamities like floods, forest fire, drought, tsunami, cyclone, all this kind of stuff, because all the weather forecasting companies or weather forecasting institutions are gathering data. So if machine learning algorithms, data science can be implemented on those data, we can predict certain things beforehand and take precautions, right? And that is absolutely getting used in big institutions, because they are giving perfectly accurate predictions about environment, weather, and all those forecastings that is happening just because of these kind of things, right? So but they have given the algorithms how geographical things works and all the stuff, and those algorithms and this data has created a model which can be used to predict things and come up with classification and all those stuff, right? So these are the most popular, but these are not the only one. These are the newest data sets, and we can search for data sets like Facebook. If we write Facebook and we search like this, we can see how many kind of Facebook datasets we are getting, right? Facebook matrix dataset, Facebook large page, Facebook comment dataset. So let's open it up and see. Is it visible, the Facebook comment volume dataset?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So as we will start learning about data science, we need to understand these particular jargons, right? Dataset characteristics, attribute characteristics, associated tasks, number of instances. So number of instances means number of records. So we have 40,000, rather near about 50,000, 41,000 data for this particular data set, right? Area, data, date donated, number of web hits, how many people have used it, uh, who have donated it. You can get all the data, right? If you want to get the dataset description, so we can click it and get the dataset description. Okay, data folder. Okay, just a second. Data folder. So this way we can download this open source data and utilize this data to learn data science, come up with new models, new solutions. So if we really want to learn data science, there are several platforms, several repositories, several ways to do it. And we can work with real-time data, real-time statistics, and all those things. Even few companies are there who are providing their data as open source to be utilized by the data scientists and all those people to create some outstanding models which can be used for their products as well, right?
Okay. And these are all free, right?
Not all
These data.
these data sets, these
Okay.
AI machine learning data sets are free, but there are certain other platforms, other companies, other organizations who provide data on against of money or something like that, right? Because these are open source data, but all data are not open source, because they have utilized money to gather those data, and in few cases the data are very sensitive. That's why they are not into public domain. You have to be authorized person to get those data, like related to population. Few population data are available, but if something related to politics, if something related to welfare of the society, if something related to the security of the people whom data you are gathering, so you need to be the authorized person to get it, right? Can you see the download folder?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So this is the data set, right? So what I was saying, that training and testing, right? So see, we have they have already categorized the thing, training and testing, right? So they have splitted the data. If we have only 300 data and the splitting is not done yet, so what we need to do, we need to split those data into training data set and testing or validation data set and what like that, right? So they have given a PDF file. Let's get into the PDF and understand what they're saying. So these are all the features. Feature means, suppose we all know about databases, right? So in case of database, we all have columns, right? And every column is associated with certain names, like name, age, roll number, gender, subjects, and all those stuff, right? So those, every column is known as features in data science. So these are the features, means the columns. So the data we have already have in our downloaded folder, that is having a table having this many amount of columns, right? So that's where your data
Hello,
will be
Arijit.
required.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Can you please show the data folder again, because it is showing the download page only?
Are you seeing the category file, list of features? Can you see this?
No, 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 no.
Okay, 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 okay. Just a second. Start sharing. Wait. Now can you see this?
Yeah,
Visible now?
it is clear. Yeah, it is visible now.
Now, so this is product, service, public figure, retail and consumer merchandise, athlete. So they have given all the features, right? And all the data are available in that particular data sets. Now we will okay, stop sharing and share the data set. Share. So we have training data, right? So these are Excel files, or we can call it .csv, means, so we need to be get familiar and accustomed with this kind of data sets, right? So there are certain kind of data sets, like we can use Excel, we can use databases, or we can use CSV. Most popular is CSV, because it's the most simplest way of storing data. And CSV means comma separated value, right? So we have all the features that was enlisted in the previous PDF. So we have all the data over here. So let's open it up. Can you see the Excel? Is the Excel visible?
No, it is
Okay,
still loading.
okay, okay, okay. Now you can see. Can you see it?
Yes, it is visible.
This is the data. and we have total number of data, that is control end 40949, right? These data can be used to get out of certain algorithms, certain decisions, whatever we want to with this data, right? So at the end, when we are working with the data and all those stuff, it's a number or a text, but it can be coming from anything. It can be an image, and not all the time you need to convert your image into a this kind of excel sheets or something like that. That can be done on the go, right? So there are certain algorithms and certain procedures, certain functions, certain libraries we can use to get data out of images directly through the algorithm, and take decisions out of it, right? It's not needed always to convert the data into some certain numbers, right? So that is the thing. This is one data.
Okay, it is a data set.
Yeah,
And
so it is called a data set. Next, we can. So there are 5 more variants of data, and we have the testing data sets over here: test set, feature states, test set. So like I have told you that we need data sets as well as for the validations. So these are the data sets which can be used for the validation purposes, right? So this is how we can learn data science with real, but not real time, but real data, right? And come up with certain algorithms and practice it, and work with real time data later on. So this is the repository things through which can be used. But initially, for coming 1 or 2 3 classes, you are not going to work with those repositories. At first, we need to get into certain basic mathematics required for data science. We will work on those mathematics, and parallelly we will work on Python, because machine learning as well as data science, both of the things we are going to learn through Python, right? So we need to have a very good grasp on Python. We don't need to be the master of Python, but we need to understand what concepts are there, a little bit about the syntaxes which can be used. Because if you don't have if you don't have good familiarity with your tools, it will favorably take more time to create a sculpture or something like that, right? So these are the tools. The programming is your tool which can be used to implement data science or machine learning. So for coming 2 3 days, we will focusing on the tools like mathematics, on the other hand programming language, that is Python. And during that time, you can get into this UCI machine learning repository and understand what kind of data are there, which kind of data is giving you interest to work on, and you can give me a list of those data that I want to work on this kind of data. I will try to create projects accordingly, so that you can able to work on those data, and we can create certain paper out of it, or do certain real time work out of it, right? So these are the things. Like
absolutely.
uh, more interesting things, like there are certain all the design, even sometimes we think that design is artistic, that cannot be comes under any logic. But UI UX is user interface design by user experience design. In those cases, we also get different kind of algorithms, and different kind of this data science implementations, machine learning implementations, to come up with certain decisions. Like there are certain questions, or some certain kind of things we need to come over in UI or UX. Like if there is a city where the people are mostly insomniac, so where should we place the call to action button in the screen? So insomniac means they don't get good sleep during the night, and that's why their eyes remains half closed, right? So they have used certain cameras, certain setups, and yes, and let arbitrary number of users to use certain websites, and come up with their eyeball tracking and all those stuff, and they make a decision that in case of those particular countries where insomnia is a very big deal, in those countries we need to place the CTA at the bottom of the screens, because if their eyes are half closed, so they can see at the bottom of the screens, right? So this is a very good example of how we can use this data science to understand human behaviors, how they're going to interact with the system and all those things. So this is how much interesting this subject is, right? So the application areas are vast. You can work on business intelligence, you can work on machine learning, you can work on financial intelligence, like share market, stock market. We can get the data of finance market or stock market and utilize those data to come up with some predictions and models and all those stuff, right? So all the places we can apply machine learning or data science to predict certain things, come up with a certain complex classification, image processing. So this is very vast field, and that's why these skills, these particular domains are all weatherproof. Because even if pandemic is happening, all the data science are getting jobs, because all this data of the pandemic, the medical uses, all the things, how the behavior of the people, recruitment process, working process is going to be get changed. All these things are depending upon certain parameters, and those parameters are backed by data. And if the data scientists are not analyzing those data, we cannot prepare ourselves beforehand for the changes, for the new normal, right? So any kind of places, machine learning, data science, robotics, this kind of trendy technologies are going to work, because as the population is growing, the virtual world population is also growing, and we are creating a lot of data that needs to be analyzed to come to a certain decision making, certain kind of pattern making, guessing the pattern, creating classifications. So this is how these particular fields are so much important, right? And most importantly, why knowledge engineers or data science engineers so much important? It's not everybody's cup of tea to understand meaning out of data. So if you have that caliber, if you can develop that skill, so people will need you to understand that. Because suppose I am an e-commerce owner, I am a business person, right? I cannot get meaning out of my data. Maybe to some extent I can get, but if I have a software that is customizedly made for me, where all the data is coming from my systems are getting fed, and that is showing certain graphs, certain visualization to me, I can understand, I can take decisions out of it. So being a data scientist, your work is to convert stories out of informations and visualization out of information, so that layman people, normal people, real decision makers, businessmen, policymakers, governance people can understand the meaning of the data. So that's our purpose of learning data science, to predict the future. We are getting the meaning out of data, classify things, and make our life easier by predicting the future and taking actions beforehand. So that's how this field is vast and interesting, and can be applicable to each and every domain, right? How in entertainment industry, in aviation, in pharmaceuticals, in healthcare, in hospitality, whatever medium you can see, everywhere data science can be implemented. The reason behind it, because we are 700 crore human beings, right? And we are producing hell terabytes of data every day. So that data needs to be processed and visualized to come up with certain beautiful things, right? So that's why these fields are so much important. Hope all the overviews are clear and all those things. So you can ask me questions about whatever I have told till now.
Yeah, the overall idea is little bit clear to me. But if you direct me which parts of mathematics and the other stuff is needed, then I can start little bits of research or findings on that questions.
So first of all, the most important part is probability. The statistics, the standard deviation, mean, median, and all those stuff. And I will give you a list of things which will be required. And it's not like that you only read by your own self. You can read, so that there will be a conversation while we are learning those things. That will be great. But we will go through all the topics to understand the mathematical concepts, do 5-6 case studical mathematical things and all those stuff to understand the thing. All the algorithms are available. We will use the libraries and all those stuff. But we are teaching these mathematical things so that you can be a real researcher, real scientist, data scientist. We are calling data scientist, right? So that's huge designations. Why you are saying that? Because data, all the people who are working with data, they need to do the research, right? And if you're doing the research on unknown kind of stuff, you need to know about this algorithm. So we will give you a list of things that we need to learn, and we will do the sessions for those things as well, along with the programming sessions, and we will use the programming to implement those things to understand the mathematics, as well as when we utilizing those things in programming, the programming skills are also getting strengthened, right? So that's the thing.
Okay. Okay. And till now, if all things is clear, which you have told.
Okay. Fine. So do one thing. Your next session will be scheduled as soon as possible, like 1 or 2 days, within 1 or 2 days. And till then, you go through this machine learning repository and just search only one question in every medium, like Facebook, Quora, LinkedIn, YouTube. What is data science? What is machine learning? Because many people teach you or tell you about these things from their perspective, and all the perspectives are important, right? And those will be 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes videos, blogs, or something like that. But when you are going through these things, not getting into the technology stuff at first, you will develop a confidence that, okay, so these are the things, I am doing these things every day, I am encountering these things every day, and that will boost your confidence to get into the real technological stuff, right? So go and get into any kind of blogs, any kind of tutorials, any kind of YouTube videos, and understand what data science is, what machine learning is, and we will start from that particular place from on the next session, right?
Okay, that means I have to collect data for data sets.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly. Not data. You need to collect the knowledge, not only the data.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Fine. Any more questions?
No more questions for now. Thanks.
Fine. So see you on the next session. Thank you so much. And if anything required, by today we will create the WhatsApp group where you will be added, and all those people who are joining for data science will be added over there, and we can have the communication over there. And if you want to directly communicate, you can do that stuff, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Arijit.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Bye bye.